Hey guys, TheJordude's here, back again with another Shadowverse video. Instead of a deck and gameplay video this time, we're going to be doing a new series which I'm going to be calling TheJordude's Notable Picks. And basically in this series, I'm going to be talking about cards that are either going to be released soon or cards that are already released in the previous expansion or a new expansion coming up. And I'm just going to be talking about cards that I personally find interesting. So cards that you will see a lot of play, cards that I think could be really cool, have a lot of cool combos, or just interesting in general. In each video I'm going to try to hit like talk about 5 different cards. Because these are just going to be like selected cards, I'm going to be skipping over cards that personally I think are not interesting, won't see much play, and things like that. And again, as a disclaimer, this is 100% my opinions on these cards, so if you have different opinions on a card that I talk about, or you think that I'm missing out on a card, or you think I'm totally wrong, or there's something I missed about a card, then definitely let me know in the description down below, or in the comments down below. We could talk about it, but yeah, again, this is all my opinions based on my past experience with card games. So in these videos, I'm just going to be looking at cards through the Shadowverse site. I know that like the card list is like not as up to date as on like Twitter or Reddit, but I find this is the easiest way to just go through cards visually and just to stay organized. So I'm just going to be using the Shadowverse site for this series. So in this video, let's go through the cards. The first card I want to talk about is Elf Twins Assault. So this is a new Forest Craft spell card. It's a gold rare, and the effect is 2 costs, and the effect is deal X damage to 2 random enemy followers. X equals the number of neutral cards in your hand. So with the Wonderland Dreams, there's pushing out a lot of neutral support. A lot of card effects synergize well with having neutral cards either in your hand, on the board, etc. So they're really pushing out for that neutral craft. And this card obviously goes with that neutral synergy because it deals X damage based on the neutral cards in your hand. Elf is typically a class where your hand is going to be quite full unless you're playing a really aggressive board heavy elf deck. But otherwise, like if you're playing Combo Roach or like Silver Bolt, you're going to be having a lot of cards in your hand because you want to be either setting up your combos, filling up your hand so you could get good heals, Will of the Forest, etc. So something that Forest has been lacking recently is good removal tools. Previously we only had like Sylvan Justice, and we had to use like Will of the Forest, Dance to Death. Not very reliable utility. So Forest getting this card could be really effective. Especially, I know I didn't talk about red cards, but this is a card I'm going to be talking in the future, Into the Looking Glass. I do think this card will be good in Forest because it makes your entire hand that's less than 7 play points neutral cards. So that would synergize well with Elf Twins Assault. Into the Looking Glass also cycles a card, so it doesn't deplenish your hand size. So with that combo with your Elf Twins Assault, you can make like all your fairies that you're holding in your hands like neutral, and then Elf Twins Assault could do a lot of damage for a very low cost. So I do think Elf Twins Assault would be a very neat card. I do think Forest with this expansion could go in the direction of being neutral heavy. I already experimented with neutral Forest. Like currently it's pretty trash, but like you could fit in a lot of neutral cards into Forest. So I do think that Forest will be able to support the neutral package, and Elf Twins Assault could go really well with that. Both in like a tempo sense, like if you want to play a tempo mid-range Forest deck, or if you want to play a control or a combo deck, I think Elf Twins Assault could be really good. The next card I want to be talking about is Old Man and Old Woman. This is a pretty cool sword card because it could attack 2 times, and if you evolve it, then it gains Bane. So when you evolve it, it becomes a 2/5, which has a pretty good stats. The main thing you care about is the 5 health. So 5 health, like you can hit something that's like 4 attack, and then you can hit something else that's like big. So like Old Man, Old Woman could do a lot. Sword does have a lot of rush effects, and recently with the new commander, they could use evolve points without using it. They can evolve without using an evil. So like you don't really run with sword you have a lot of options where you don't have to use your evil points. So old man and old woman, like, to evolve it to get the effect out, and it can attack twice and possibly kill 2 big, medium and big threats, or even just clearing small threats. Like, it could be really effective. So I think old man and old woman is very interesting for swordcraft. Again, it looks like swordcraft is always going to be that kind of craft that just focus heavily on their followers. So old man and old woman, good utility, it's got a good effect, and it's got good stats for the cost especially. So I do think old man and old woman could see some play within, like, probably more of the control style, or like the heavy side of mid-range and control swords. But yeah, it seems solid to me. Another card I want to be talking about, Witch of the Sweets. It's just a very simple runecraft card. It's a 2-cost, 2/2. A fanfare draw card if the number of neutral cards in your hand equals or exceeds the number of runecrafts in your hand. Yeah, pretty good. Like, again, Rune has, like, we see later on that they have a lot of cards where it draws you cards, but it makes you discard all your spells. So we might see a direction where you play like Temple Rune, where you play in all the spell boost minions, and then you don't play too many spells. I'm not too sure how it's going to work, but I do think there could be enough support for Rune where you could be playing a lot of neutral cards, and then this card is just a 2-cost 2/2s, average stats, and you get a cycle card. It's not bad. Yeah, pretty interesting, pretty cool. Let's go and see if Runecraft goes neutral or not. Oh yeah, this card pretty interesting. Carabosse Wicked Fairy. It's a blood legendary, 6-cost 6/6, evolves into an 8/8. And the fanfare effect is, for the remainder of this match, you will not gain a play point at the start of your turn. For the remainder of this match, draw a card and deal 1 damage to the enemy leader at the end of your turn. These effects will continue even if this follower leaves the board. So, yeah, I do think this card probably won't see as much play in control, because in control you do play more expensive cards. So Carabosse denying your play points is kind of doesn't really work. But I do think this card could see a lot of work within either aggro or mid-range decks. Maybe even like a slower version of Vengeance, because it does cost 6. You don't want to be playing like that hyper aggressive aggro blood and then playing this. It's just too slow because it doesn't do damage immediately. You do want to see it in more of like a mid-rangey deck, where you go more for value while you do some more chip damage in. So we could possibly see a rise of mid-range blood coming back. I do think this card is like kind of a hit or miss. It's one of those effects where you think could be really crazy, but these kind of crazy effects is also those effects where people think it's going to be good, but it turns out like unplayed. So I do think Carabosse Wicked Fairy is on my radar of being a really good card. It just depends, once it gets released, how it's going to be in the meta and the format. But the effect, like if you're playing mid-range, you're not going to be playing anything higher than like 7 cost, most likely. The 7 cost being like those Stormers. So Carabosse, like, the stats are really good, the effect is really good into the long run, or mid-game into the early stages of the end game. Carabosse could be really strong. So yeah, gonna have to see how this card is once it gets released. I do think, again, it could be a hit or miss card, but some people might think otherwise, some people might think it's broken. And finally, for the last card that I'm going to be talking about is, of course, the cover girl, Alice, Wonderland Explorer. Probably a lot of people's new waifu. Definitely on my top 5 waifus. Alice is the neutral legendary, 4-cost 3/4, evolves into a 5/6, and her unevolved effect, or her effect, is a fanfare, gain +1, give +1/+1 to all other allied neutral followers in your hand and in play. So again, this is pretty much your huge support for neutrals, the neutral archetype, and yeah, it's a really good effect. Like, the stats for 4-cost 3/4 is like average. Evolves into 5/6, so you get that classic +2/+2 evil, and the effect is kind of like a slower effect. It's more for like a longer run. It's not like an instant effect. It's pretty good. Like, especially if you have a lot of card card value in your hand. Like if you were able to generate a lot of cards, say Forest Craft for example, and you made all your cards all your fairies neutrals, and then with that spell and look into the looking glass, and then now all your fairies are tutus, which is significantly better than 1/1s. So like Alice Wonderland Explorer, I do think could be it's going to be played in the decks that are playing a lot of neutrals. The neutrals I see so far that look good are Forest and Shadow for sure. Rune I'm not too sure about right now, so I would say maybe kind of leaning to no. Dragons maybe with that Storm Amulet, I'm not too sure, but for sure I think Forest and Shadow are looking really solid on neutrals. So Alice Wonderland Explorer I do think looks really good in that deck. Maybe not as a 3 of, because the effect starts to get worse later into the game. Like you kind of want to play it just like on turn 4 and get the value in while you have cards in your hand and you're fighting for board early on, which most games happen out that way. So I do think maybe you just play it as a 2 of, but definitely I do think Alice is going to be seen play in those neutral heavy decks, and it's going to be like kind of a, it's a neat card, like, and the great art, one of my favorites so far in this pre-release. And yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. My notable picks episode 1 on the pre-release of Wonderland Dreams. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If there was any points that I missed out on these cards, then make sure you comment down in the comments below. If there's anything you think I missed out of these current cards on the site, just let me know. Or if you think I'm totally wrong about something. Yeah, I just love to have discussions with you guys, and yeah, it's fun. Thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe for more notable picks and more decks and gameplay videos. And make sure you check me out in all the links down below and hit the follow buttons in there. Thanks for tuning in guys, peace.